Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Great Malabite Efeni. Good morning.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Victoria, Tundu, MKO Abiola. Let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of records. The lead story, Southeast grounded as residents comply with sit-at-home order. Banks, schools, government offices, market closed, streets deserted. The Guardian newspaper, Nigeria's The Guardian newspaper, is also reporting this story. Southeast shuts down as residents obey IPOB's sit-at-home order. 3 policemen killed in Enugu, 5 residents in Ebonyi. Again, gunmen burn Imo police station. Gulag's death, a clear political assassination, says Uzodinma. Wike, it's too early for Uzodinma to assume cause of killing. IPOB spokesman rates Biafra Day observance 100% successful. Arewa leaders warn northerners to limit travel to southeast. While the Daily Trust newspaper reporting this story, experts warn of anarchy as IPOB locks down southeast. His vote of no confidence on leaders, Odinkalu, 4 killed in Ebonyi. Police station raised in Imo. IPOB working in sync with region's governors. Done. Now the annual sit-at-home order, according to IPOB, is to honor fallen heroes of the Biafra in the 30-month civil war that took place between 1967 and 1970. And expectedly, the people of the Southeast, despite police assurance that people should go about their normal duty, that they will be given protection. Well, the citizens in the Southeast know better, and they decide to sit at home in compliance with that sit-at-home order. But again, the other news about the killings and attacks that come with this story is what again remains a worrisome situation. Ruben Rufai and Tundu, the IPOB having its say in this matter and the people complying.
Well, I think it's very important that we actually did not see any of the bloodshed that was threatened, first and foremost, because you'll recall the sit-at-home order came with quite an explicit threat that if you do not sit at home, then you're prepared to die. So I'm glad that none of that has been reported. But I think it's unfortunate, and it says a lot about Nigeria as a nation, when it has to be IPOB having to go to the extremes of issuing the sit-at-home order with a threat attached to it. I think that we should have an official day of remembrance of the victims of the Civil War, because those were Nigerians who were killed by other Nigerians. It's not something you're supposed to sweep under the carpet. People tend to feel a sense of shame when these things are involved, but there's no point in feeling shame. The whole idea is to now move forward in harmony. And this is exactly why we have the tensions that we do. When these kinds of crimes against humanity a lot of the time, because I'm not just referring to soldiers. You can say soldiers, that's their work, that's the line of work that they were called to do. But I'm talking about the civilian deaths, the starvation. It was completely unnecessary. So we need to stop pretending it did not happen out of a sense of shame. Look at what happened in America with the Tulsa massacre centenary. For a long time, people tried to completely, suppress that part of history, but it's impossible because the wounds are there. The wounds are festering. If the federal government would take charge of these kinds of situations, you wouldn't have IPOB having to issue sit-at-home orders. It should be remembered nationally.
Good talk, Tundu. The federal government, at some point, but you don't expect that to happen in the current atmosphere. But I agree with you totally that at some point, this country must sit down and have a day of remembrance of all who died in that 30-month civil war between Nigeria and the Biafran separatists.
Yes, because this is one of the reasons the current atmosphere that you referred to would not exist if we would respect and remember that conflict. I think a lot of the people who were a part of that conflict might be embarrassed because, like a lot of, even June 12th, for example, look how long it took for that to be recognized. And even with that, the truth has never really been told. A lot of people feel a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, a lot of shame, but people need to express it so that we don't have the situation that we're dealing with now. It was recognized by President Olusegun Obasanjo that we wouldn't just seamlessly segue from military rule to democracy. There needed to be a reckoning. There needed to be that Oputa panel. Yeah. So I don't know why anybody thought you could just say no victor, no vanquished. A whole civil war happened, then we move on. Of course we're not going to move on, and we can see it.
I think the formative point here for me, Mr. Feni, is the fact that two things. Number one, we had a war. We were too hasty to understand the pains people went through during that war. And like Tundu alluded to, we just said it's all over. Let's hug. Let's kiss. Let's say it's well. In fact, one step further, I'll tell you. We thought the integration was permanent when 1979, we had two candidates from the eastern part of the country. I think it was Philip Umidi, correct me if I'm wrong on that, and what's his name now? One of the first people to get a PhD in architecture in Nigeria, Alex Ekweme.
Dr. Alex Ekweme.
Yes. You know, we thought, oh, since we had those people as vice presidential candidates for the top political parties, there was a lot of integration. But I'll tell you this, sir. The truth is, it takes years for people to heal off things. And there are wounds that are still there. I mean, how many should we say? Is it only about the people killed in the Biafra War? How about the Asaba massacre?
The Asaba massacre, yes.
You know, how about, all sorts of killings here and there? It takes time, actually, for people to heal.
Asaba massacre happened during the Civil War, perpetrated by the federal troops.
Yeah, and it takes time for
civilians.
Yeah, it takes time for people to heal off things like that. But you see, what I think we should do as a country is we should look at the way people are trying to heal from things like that. I had the pleasure and the joy of going to the Genocide Museum in Kigali, in Rwanda. They didn't forget what happened overnight. That place is a center point for people healing and not going back to the same past that hurt them so much. We need to take this seriously. Because if that process of healing has started, we will not have all these bickerings. It is shocking that as at this point in time, 50 years after we fought to keep this country one, we are still having ethnic bickerings. We're having people saying they want to secede and leave the union. But we need to heal. We all need to come together. And one thing with healing is it takes patience. Don't say, forget it, it never happened. Don't say, go over it, it never happened. Don't say, you should have healed by now. Hurts are genuine. Let's never forget that. Hurts are genuine.
Okay, let me say this very quickly. Now, one point of view is that the Civil War, which ended in 1970, has not actually ended. And that is why you have this kind of spectacle that we have in the southeastern part of Nigeria today, where non-state actors can declare a complete shutdown of an entire region, and there will be full compliance. IPOB, as at this morning, is celebrating that the compliance has been full, has been total. I've seen pictures of persons who took their mattresses onto the streets to sleep there, just to show that effectively the Southeast has been shut down. And it's not just the Southeast. The IPOB statement on this is also thanking people in Akwa Ibom, in Delta State, who decided to join them. So what we see here is a challenge to the supremacy of the Nigerian state. It's an indication of the fragility, of the vulnerability of the Nigerian state. If a group of persons can come up under an umbrella and shut down a part of the country, it shows a movement towards anarchy. Second, what is clear also is that many Igbo leaders, You know, publicly they will try to distance themselves from IPOB. But you can see a consensus in that part of the country about the issues at the heart of the national question. And what are the people of the Southeast complaining about? They're complaining about marginalization.
Yeah.
They're saying that the time has come for an able man to emerge, not as vice president, not as an attachment, you know, but as president of Nigeria, so that it can be clear that all of us have a stake in this country and that there are no superior or inferior stakeholders within the Nigerian arrangement. I hope that the Nigerian government will take what is happening in the Southeast very clearly, look at it very closely. In terms of the cost, a whole region shut down for about 4 or 5 days, right? Now, what is the cost in economic terms? How does that help Nigeria? The political statement that the people of the Southeast, you know, are making is also an indication that this country is at the brink of a precipice, you know, as many experts have said. And I think it's frightening that this is the case. This is not the first time that IPOB will call on people to sit at home. But since the first time IPOB did it, this has been the most effective intervention. And that should tell us something about the health and state of our union.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Feni, too, for your time.